Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. So the day I am filming this video, another video that I did is going to be going live in a couple of hours. And that video was hard for me to not only film, but to sit through editing. It was just an emotional topic, and it was just kind of a more serious video. To balance out the seriousness of that video, today I am filming another reaction to Freelee, a video from her Frugivore channel. This one is Freelee reacts to Lizzo's What I Eat in a Day TikTok, episode 1. Let's get into it.
Hey Frugivore, so we're going to check out Lizzo's TikTok page. She is wildly popular with over 12.9 million followers. She is a singer, I believe, and also she calls herself a body positivity, you know how I feel about that, advocate on TikTok. So, but what I love about Lizzo is that she's plant-based. For the past year or so, she's been plant-based, and I'm not surprised because this is what she was eating just before she went plant-based. Yikes.
There's just something very odd about saying she went plant-based because of the way she used to eat. If that was the case, then everyone who was raised to eat animal products would be plant-based at some point in their life. Like, everyone would make that switch. She phrases things sometimes very oddly, and it throws me off because I'm just like, she says things and then I just have to pause the video and think, like, what did she just say? Let me dissect that, like, word for word. What exactly did she just say?
A big yikes from me here. Ooh. Oh. Just so much fat. So much oil. A couple of bites away from a heart attack, really, like, you know, she would have felt absolutely terrible eating this way.
Even as someone who used to eat eggs and used to sometimes like eggs, I would go through phases of liking eggs when I ate eggs. Even now as a vegan, I go through phases of thinking about eggs, but then I remember I didn't always like them, so I don't know what that means. Even looking at this does not look appetizing, even from a ex-omnivore way of looking at it or way of eating. It's full of cholesterol, it's full of fat. I can't imagine that Lizzo was eating this every single day. She's showing one thing that she used to make. Most people show what they're making when it's something maybe a little bit different from their normal way of eating, or it's a new recipe and they're sharing it with their, you know, their following of like, hey, this is what I'm trying out. So to base a person's full diet off of one little video showing one thing that they made once doesn't represent or give the full picture of how they really were eating. In order to truly know how a person eats and be able to base their health off their way of eating, you would have to see what they, like every bite of everything they ever ate for a prolonged period of time, like years, to gather that much data to truly understand the correlation between their health and their diet. To say, of course she went plant-based because look at this fatty recipe she made once and posted once, doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so there's no surprise that she went plant-based pretty soon after, and she does call herself vegan, but I haven't seen her speaking about the animals, so she's probably confusing the two.
I'm not super verbal about animal exploitation, but I am vegan because I don't use, or I try my best to avoid using anything that comes from an animal. I'm okay with calling yourself vegan, even if it's just the diet form, because I think universally more people understand that. They get the word vegan rather than plant-based.
Okay, so what I eat in a day tales from a fat vegan. That's what she calls herself. And in the description she says, as a new vegan, I'm enjoying exploring flavors from plants and plant-based proteins. That's great. Every journey is personal and deserves to be celebrated. I do celebrate. I'm like so happy.
What I eat in a day. Disclaimer, this is not every day, but this is a pretty average one. This is a breakfast smoothie I like to make with coconut water, whatever kale or spinach I have, and frozen.
Okay. So that's quick, but that's a smoothie. She has a smoothie. She enjoys having a smoothie for breakfast. That is great. It looked like, I mean, it can definitely be bigger. All right. You know, she's not like, you know, she has extra weight, so she needs to eat more calories. This isn't about shaming her or anything. It's just that she has extra weight, so she needs to feed herself enough of the good stuff so she doesn't binge out on the, you know, the bad stuff.
There's a little bit of language there that Freelee is using, good versus bad foods. So foods do not hold a moral standing. You wouldn't say a food is angelic or devilish. So there is no moral standing when it comes to food. If I say good or bad when it comes to food, that's not to say there's a moral justification aligned with that particular food. We need to get into the habit of saying this if we feel the urge to say good or bad when it comes to certain foods. Good for you or versus not so good for you. Every food has a place in any person's diet. It's about eating enough of the healthy food or nutritious food, making healthy choices, but that's not to say you exclude the not so healthy. You know, there are foods that are just not healthy. They contribute no nutritional value to you, but they taste good. It's not about excluding those foods and calling them morally bad. No, it's saying they're just not the best for you and you shouldn't be eating those, you know, consistently or constantly, or your diet should not be made up of primarily those foods. Rather, focus on the more nutritionally dense foods, but incorporate the foods that taste good, and from time to time, the foods that they just add taste and happiness and joy.
Fruit. This is a salad that I love to make. This one has kale, red cabbage, some broccoli, and a slice of avocado, some white onions, and some carrots.
Okay, so she had that smoothie, and you know, maybe she would have had about maybe 500 calories or so, but now she's having a salad, and the salad looks delicious, it really does, but is it going to give her enough fructose, enough energy, you know, for her to be feeling, you know, vibrant and like ready to take on the day without any caffeine or anything like that? It just doesn't provide a lot of nourishment, a lot of calories.
It's a whole food salad. There's not a lot of processed elements to it, so it's made from whole foods. That's going to provide a lot of like nutrients. That's nutrient dense. That's going to provide nourishment. Freelee does have a obsession with carbohydrates and fructose and sugar, believing that you can only truly be nourished and meet your nutrient needs by consuming mostly carbohydrates, primarily fruit. This is a misconception. This is not true. You can get nourishment from a plethora of foods. In fact, any food. It just, is your body craving it? Does your body want it? Do you enjoy eating those foods? That's going to give you the nourishment. And when you are focusing on, you know, these whole foods, not overly processed, you're going to get those nutrients. Some processed foods also have a lot of nutrients to them. So that's not to say you can't get your nutrients from those foods as well. Imagine a checklist. Her checklist has one thing on it, carbs, and then sub checklist, fruit. When Freelee reacts to a what I eat in a day video, she's looking at her checklist of 1 to 2 items, carbs, fruit. And she's basing whether or not that person's what I eat in a day is nutrient dense based off that checklist, which is incorrect. The checklist of nutrients that a person should be looking for in another person's what I eat in a day video is much longer.
Calories. So like, even though it is nutritious, she needs to eat much more.
For a snack, I had this hummus from the farmer's market, and I used to eat a bunch of hot Cheetos, but that was not good for my acid reflux, so these are a Cheeto alternative that I love.
Okay, so she's got an alternative that's plant-based. Really happy to hear that. She's got the hummus. We love hummus. You don't have to get the hummuses with like heaps of oil in it though. Like, some of them tend to have quite a bit of oil and quite a bit of salt, and it can end up being like not too healthy.
So now she's equating higher fat content to unhealthy. Freelee is oftentimes calling people out for having a fear of carbs, while she herself has a fear of fat. She basically says fat is unnecessary, which is odd, seeing as it's a macronutrient, implying that it's necessary for body function.
But that's a great alternative for her, for sure.
That's vegan. I dipped that in a hummus, bada boom, bada snack. These are some mushroom balls, and I made a truffle chickpea.
Wow, that looks pretty delicious, right? That looks, I could definitely down that. Even though I don't eat cooked food anymore, I'm eating only living food. It does look scrumptious.
That's an odd flex. I feel like she goes through phases of yes, cooked food, no cooked food. It's like slight brags about it. It's like, you don't have to mention that. That was something you didn't have to throw in there, but you chose to throw in there because you think it makes you superior to other people. I'm speculating.
Again, just have a bigger serve, because that whole salad bit there can just be kind of pushed off the plate because it doesn't have a lot of calories to keep her satisfied, although she should include it, but when it comes to energy.
The mushroom ball thing with some quinoa in the salad from earlier made a reappearance. I don't like Diet Cola, but this was a vegan Diet Cola left over from my party.
I don't like Diet Cola, but I'm drinking the Diet Cola, and this is a plant-based one. See, this 0 calories Diet Cola. Just drink the calories, you know? You want the calories, but you don't want to be having cola because it's just going to dissolve your teeth.
When I was a teenager, I drank quite a lot of soda, but then I stopped because it's not healthy. You can't argue it a health food. You can't. I was very focused on being healthy. So I cut soda out for a very long time, and then over the past couple of years, as my recovery journey has become more and more important to me, facing my fear of soda, because when I excluded it, it was coming from a place of fear because I was afraid to eat things that were considered unhealthy. And so recently I have been dabbling in allowing myself to have soda from time to time. Sometimes it's the full sugar, full calorie, and sometimes it's diet. When I was younger, I did prefer some sodas, the diet version more. I just like the taste better. I don't particularly like to drink my calories. So if there is a 0 calorie or a really low calorie option, I'm gonna go for that because I'd rather, consume more ice cream.
It's too acidic. At least she says she doesn't like Diet Cola too, so that was good.
In my throat. And for after dinner, I made a peanut butter and jelly smoothie by Yellow Protein Powder and Love from Jesus. So
Okay, so that's great that she's having like a smoothie for dinner as well. It's across the whole day. It's definitely not enough food, but that tastes amazing. Obviously, putting peanut butter in a smoothie, and I don't want to expect too much from her because she is at this point, new plant-based. So I think she's doing really well just to eat more because.
Why are we just looking at shots of durian? If you ever hear someone say durian tastes good, maybe I just can't get past the smell. But I think that person who says durian tastes good is lying.
We want her to stay on track, right? We want her to stay for life, not just to be some fad like these Hollywood people do. Let's find a raw food, what I eat in a day. Yeah, here we go. Here's another what I eat in a day video, this time raw vegan. Okay, this is right up my alley. Let's check it out.
I don't know if you heard, but right now she's not eating cooked food. Humble flex. Since she doesn't eat cooked food, she's an expert. So we should listen to her.
I've been raw vegan for the last 4 days, and I wanted to show you what I had yesterday.
Okay, so she said she's been raw vegan for the last 4 days. So I would say raw plant-based, unless she is advocating for the animals, unless she actually is thinking about them. But I see this as a diet. She's doing a diet. So it's just important to make that distinction, because we forget about the animals, and that's not good.
Saying raw vegan is much more universally understood. When it comes to language, definition is important, but also communication is important. Like being able to communicate to the people you are trying to reach, it's important to speak in their language so that they understand. Saying raw vegan is much more universally understood rather than raw plant-based, whatever. Also, you don't have to constantly be speaking out about the animals to call yourself vegan.
Good. So this is her breakfast. 1 banana.
These were so delicious. Had some oat milk yogurt with a banana.
Okay, so the oat milk yogurts, that's not raw. Okay, and I'm not being nitpicky or anything here, but she did say raw, so I'm just letting you know that isn't actually raw, but it's still good. It's still obviously good. She had a smoothie, the banana, and that yogurt, and that's not bad, eat more, but it's not too bad.
And a fresh juice. This is a Sloppy Joe. That is a vegan raw flatbread. I made a
Yeah, that would be good. That would definitely be good, and I do sometimes eat like this, like gourmet style, but I would do it at the end of the day. So if you have that for the start of the day, then fruit and fast digesting foods are going to run into those higher fat foods in your gut, in your colon, and cause a whole backup, a whole jam up there.
I think Freelee's making a little bit of a nod to food combining myths. Don't get me started. I used to go to several different raw vegan restaurants. They'd make these raw bread or flatbreads. It's not bread. Okay, let's just call it out here. A lot of people I would take with me, they just could not get behind the raw bread. If you think that you're eating bread, you're not gonna like it. If you just go into it thinking this is just another edible thing, like another food, you're gonna maybe enjoy it. It is a little funky, texture, flavor, everything about it. It is weird. I think it's good. So what she's eating looks weird, but I bet it tastes good.
And you don't want that because you're going to get stinky. You're going to get, like a slower colon release. So you want to get the fruit going in by itself. Fruit is like a jealous partner, wants you all to itself.
Fruit is like a jealous partner because fruit has a personality.
It doesn't want to go mixing. Okay, so it's not the best. Better she goes for a larger fruit meal now.
Sandwich out of it. That is a protein bar with superfoods in it. So
Look, a protein ball, you don't need extra protein, so she doesn't need to worry about that.
In addition to her fear of fat, Freelee has an issue when people eat protein. Like I said, her checklist consists of carbs. That's it.
The superfood is fruit. Okay, this just because someone labeled some processed powders and stuff superfoods, it's not. Okay, just some processed old powders usually.
The word superfood is just a marketing term. There's nothing magical about foods that are labeled superfoods.
Fruit is the superfood.
Delicious and sweet. That is spaghetti zoodles with 3 little nutty protein balls and some marinara sauce.
I like nut balls. I have the brain of a 12-year-old boy, the maturity level sometimes. Yes, I like nut balls. There's a local company that makes meat out of nuts. It's super expensive. And so I've had it twice in my life. And they make these nut balls that are really good. Everyone I've ever given them to hates them. Acquired taste when it comes to those kind of alternatives. The ones that are just like super packed full of whole foods. I mean, they're weird. The super processed chemically ones are delicious and people prefer those. Like non-vegans do prefer those, obviously, because it's more realistic to the real thing. I'm also not really big on nuts, but when they're all mashed up and rolled into a ball pretending to be meat, I like it.
Okay, so that dish that she just had there, zoodles, so zucchini, it has literally pretty much no calories in it.
It doesn't have 0 calories. Zucchinis have calories. Is it a food? Is it a food? Do you chew it? It's probably got calories. She can't just say it's essentially 0 calories because it's not. Calories add up. If you just excluded everything that was low calorie, there's a reason why people are obese, because they're overeating. They're underestimating their calories. You are spreading misinformation about calories and what has calories and what doesn't.
So when you're doing like raw food substitutes for the cooked food pasta, you need to like eat a lot of fruit, get your fruit calories up, sweet fruit calories up before you eat it. And then when you have the pasta, add like a whole lot of sweet fruit. So I would add like, a couple of mangoes or sometimes 4 mangoes and mix it in with tomato.
Yeah, because you know what goes really well with spaghetti and meatballs? Mango. Said one person ever. Freelee.
And basil and, some herbs and spices with that zoodles. So you're not depending on the zucchini for that same calorie hit as a pasta. So just remember that, easy to undereat.
Really delicious, and I've been obsessed with just banana and yogurt right now.
Okay, so she's having the banana and yogurt as well. That's good. It's great. It's not raw again, but it's okay. And I just wish you would have several of those tubs because you can see how tiny it was.
Vegan yogurt can have a lot of calories. So to have multiple of those little tubs, yeah, they're small, but one tub could have 200 or plus calories. As like a nice little snack or a nice little dessert, 1 tub is enough. Now, if it was a pint of ice cream, then again, an entire tub is a 1 serving.
And she's a big girl. Okay, she is carrying a fair bit of weight, and I believe she does want to lean up and get healthy, and that's fair enough. That's great. We want everyone to do that.
And my new best friend, my water cup.
Okay, so this is the end of her day, and she's into the water. Awesome. Drink it up. Drink up the agua. It's really good for you. Obviously, like most people live in the cities, it's very dehydrating with clothing, with air conditioning. Just the whole environment sucks the water out of your system, and you are 70% or more water. So it's very important, so that's great to see.
So yeah, raw vegans.
Okay, so that day is done, and she didn't do too badly. She didn't do too badly, but more sweet fruit. You just can't do raw vegan any other way. If you see people doing it gourmet, they're also eating cooked food long term, okay? Because you just simply do not get enough fructose. And
I think she just shamed people who attempt raw vegan and then go back to cooked food. There's something superior about eating raw. There's not. You're just eating food. You're no different from the rest of us. We all eat food. It's necessary. We all do it. The way you eat does not make you better than anybody else.
Lizzo Bean, this is her period edition. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so she's into the energy drink. She called it energy drink. So it's just a stimulant, okay? And this is because she's not getting enough glucose or fructose. She's going for the stimulant, the 0 calorie or 40 calories per can. It's got sweetened. Yeah, I don't trust these drinks at all.
I try not to drink energy drinks that often. There are certain ones that I find very delicious, and I sometimes crave them. So if I crave something, it's better to let myself have it that one time than to constantly crave it and obsess over it and focus only on wanting that thing and not letting myself have it. So yes, from time to time, I do drink an energy drink.
Awesome. Jackfruit bowl with avo. I'm so happy to see jackfruit making an appearance here, and avocado. Like, the avocado is kind of fattier to have for breakfast. Looks quite greasy, but still fantastic to have. Jackfruit and avo. Okay, so the pumpkin spice latte she just had there. So she's having the stimulant. She needed some coffee because she's not getting enough of the glucose or fructose because, yeah, you can see she's going to have an energy drink. Oh no, don't have the fake fruit. This is just fake fruit, okay? That's all it is. She's having mango candy and it looks, I don't know, it makes my mouth water because it looks sour.
Or it makes your mouth water because you know it's probably delicious and you want it, but you're going to keep yourself from it.
So she's got green chili enchiladas, very good. Had 2 plates, forgot to film. Looks great. That looks good. I mean, I'm not eating rice, I'm not eating cooked food anymore, so it's not optimal to me.
I should have been counting how many times Freelee mentions that she is not, I repeat, she is not eating cooked food. There are people who say they don't like rice. I don't understand. Rice is so good. I could eat just plain white rice and be very happy.
Okay, but I'm still going to support you if you are having rice. Obviously, it's a high carb, good source of carbohydrates, and a lot of people can access it very easily. So I'm always going to support you in doing that, but fruit is the best.
Rice versus fruit. Rice wins, hands down. Give me rice any day. Fruit, I'm someone who used to primarily live off of fruit as a kid. Like, I grew up eating so much fruit, which might explain why I don't particularly remember to eat it now. I'm all fruited out.
Okay, so she's going for the cookie dough ice cream because she's not getting that fuel to her cells.
Don't talk bad about ice cream, especially cookie dough, which is my favorite. The reason why she is going for the cookie dough ice cream, it's because it's delicious. It's so good. That's why she's going for it, because it tastes good and she likes it, not because she didn't eat enough fruit the rest of the day. No, it's because ice cream is proof that the universe loves us.
Cells, right? And I might sound like a broken record, but I have to keep repeating this until you get it, until you implement it.
You don't have to keep repeating the lie. You don't have to. It's not a necessary thing. You don't have to keep lying to your audience. No, you don't have to. In fact, most of us would prefer if you stopped.
Because you are a frugivore.
No, Freelee. I'm going to keep repeating this until you implement it. We are not frugivores. We're not. Even our evolutionary ancestors did eat bugs and grubs from time to time. So even they weren't frugivores.
You are designed to have sweet stuff. That's why you want sweet stuff. That's why she wants a cookie dough ice cream. Because she's designed to eat it. You know, she's not to eat that, but eat sweet stuff in the form of fruit.
This is something I've noticed in a lot of Freelee's videos. I don't believe she believes in God. Maybe she believes in a higher being. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she uses the word designed. That means that there is a designer. Language is important. Remember that.
Fruit, whole food. And there is enough around for you to go and get some. There's, you know, supermarkets, there's fruit shops, it's available. So that seems like it's her whole day. That's her whole day of eating, and again, it's not a lot of calories. She's going to head for the junk.
Don't be calling cookie dough ice cream junk. Anyway, if that's the end of Lizzo's What I Eat in a Day, that means it's the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you do not enjoy it, you can give it a thumbs down. That is cool too. I don't mind. If you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit the notification bell to stay notified of all future uploads. And to anyone who is new, welcome. If you have any comments, questions, video suggestions, anything at all, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Be sure to go follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye!